Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Erdley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome, it's episode 91 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan. I'm your host, Catherine Erdley, as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club, which is my membership group for product businesses. You can find out more at resilientretailclub.com. And if you use the code 10podcast, that's 10podcast, you can get £10 off your first month. So today we are being joined by Thomas Rankin, who is the co-founder of social media marketing software platform Dash Hudson. It's a bit of a mouthful. And I had a fascinating conversation with Thomas. I think you're really going to enjoy it. We talk all about the way that social media is changing, how brands are using influencers and creators, and the shift in basically social media becoming more and more this concept of social entertainment. So I think it's a really great insight into what it actually takes, or what the purpose really is of social media content in 2022. And hopefully you'll take away some real nuggets of information about what you need to do to move forward. Thomas, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Catherine. Yes, it's a...
Hi.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
We're already off to a rough start.
Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and Dash Hudson?
Yeah, sure. So yes, I'm Thomas, the co-founder and CEO of Dash Hudson. So Dash Hudson is the modern social media marketing platform. We provide the world's most important companies, everybody from Apple to Unilever, with tools and insights to deepen their relationships with global consumers through creative that entertains and brings joy. So for example, if you loop and share a TikTok from your favorite brand and join the TikTok made me buy it crowd, Dash Hudson probably helped make that happen. And so we built the company because we understood really firsthand how hard it is to understand what creative is working, which influencers to work with, and how to drive sales. So when my co-founder Tomek and I started Dash Hudson in 2014, we were actually a very different thing than we are now. So of course, now we're providing insights and tools to brands directly. We were actually a shopping application ourselves. So we built a mobile application where you could come in, see great photos at that time from influencers, and you could directly buy the products that you saw in those photos. We were leveraging Instagram to help drive new users to our platform so that we had users in there who were engaging and shopping. And I was spending marketing dollars on Instagram to get those users. And I really wanted to understand, okay, if we work with this specific influencer, they share these 5 photos, I want to compare that influencer to another. I want to see what creative that they've shared. And I want to be able to track to see, does that engage someone enough to download the Dash Hudson shopping app? And does it then drive sales? I couldn't find any analytics products in the market that helped me understand that. And so I asked Tomek to build us our own internal dashboard to monitor that. And long story short, that actually became the Dash Hudson product. So we solved our own problem and then brought that out to thousands of brands in the market.
Oh my goodness, I love that. So it's by effectively fixing your own problem that you then created something. It's really tricky unless you've got the specific analytics to actually see if what you're doing is working. It's really fascinating. Then you talked about starting in 2014 and it's crazy really how fast social media moves, that we're really only 8 years out from that, and that's already significant. It's sort of almost like the dark ages of social media. Like you talked about photos, for example, were the most important thing at that time. I'd love to talk a little bit more about this concept of social entertainment. So how would you define that, and how do you think that's having an impact on the way that people sell in 2022?
So yeah, the social entertainment era is truly here. And it's a product of the collision of technology and culture, and it's shaping how we spend our time. So people are currently spending up to, this is a crazy stat, 73 hours per month on social media.
Wow.
So social media as a whole. And 62 hours of that is spent consuming social entertainment. And so how is social entertainment different than traditional social? Well, it's different for two reasons. In the previous era, you went to channels like Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter to consume content shared by those that you follow, people, influencers, brands, personalities. And those connections formed what's called your social graph. And that's the traditional way that social networks have been built. And of course, it was famously created by Facebook oh so long ago. But almost everything that you interacted with was connection based. Social entertainment lives on something completely different, which is called the content graph. And really, it was pioneered by TikTok. And what this means is that the algorithms deliver you videos based primarily on what you watch, often from creators with whom you have no connection. So that's a pretty distinct, fundamental shift in terms of how great creative is brought to us, not based on connections, but rather based on what we're actually engaging with. So secondly, the creative itself makes social entertainment different. And so again, in the previous era of traditional social media, highly curated content dominated. Now it's all of the moment, lo-fi, full screen video, spontaneity rather than production wins. And the source of the creative is different. It comes from people and it's much more organic and it's based on individual ideas and inspiration. And at Dash Hudson, we believe that social entertainment will encompass everything in the future and will draw together not just the traditional social platforms, but will pull together the traditional media platforms in a competition for our attention.
Oh yeah, I can totally see what you're coming from. It's interesting because I have an 11-year-old and a 15-year-old. And because of that, it's quite interesting. So I kind of see how they consume media and content. And it is completely different to how I did when I was their age. And I was talking to my teenager about TikTok and I said, oh, who do you follow on TikTok? Just, making conversation. He's like, no, I don't follow people. I just get shown stuff. And I was like, oh, right. Because, I'm kind of been dabbling with TikToks, just getting used to the platform myself. But it just hadn't really occurred to me. But that's exactly what you're saying, right? It's not about your connections. It's about then interest-based and how presumably then the algorithms are picking up on what you're interacting with.
Exactly. And there's actually this really funny meme. It's like the Tobey Maguire grimacing face meme where it says, when you encounter content shared by your friends on TikTok. So it's actually like what you don't want to see on TikTok, as opposed to, what you were looking for in the previous, more traditional social media platforms.
So then let's bring this back to the brands, to brands, to people who listen to podcasts, who have product businesses, who are listening to this thinking, okay, obviously the next question that businesses have to ask themselves is, what does this mean? And I'm guessing that there's some real opportunities then within this idea of it being about the social entertainment, because it's less about, oh, you need to build up a massive network and more about you've got to create the content that stands out.
Yeah, exactly. And so we've seen this several times through the life of Dash Hudson, where the type of creative that needs to be shared on social media because of what people are looking for has changed. Again, even on Instagram, it started with static images in the feed, then stories launched, then reels launched. So brands are always having to determine at what point they are going to leap into that kind of new form of creative. And it's always an uncomfortable shift for them. And you see a very traditional adoption curve. So you have those early adopters who get it, they jump on it, they're willing to take risks. You have those that monitor what's happening and get in before too long. And then you have the laggards, right? You have the people who aren't quite ready yet. So it's our job at Dash Hudson to make sure that we're really building the product for those early adopters, because they're typically the ones who get it the fastest and innovate and are able to tell us very clearly what it is that makes them successful. But it's also our job to be patient and make sure we're educating those brands who are still trying to figure it out. And I speak to our customers all the time. And from one conversation to the next, you find people along that curve. But the advice that I always give to brands looking to grow their sales on social media and in the world of social entertainment goes back to that point, which is that they really need to invest in their marketing team and their budgets now. Specialization within social media teams is becoming more and more important. And the ones that have really leapt onto TikTok, for example, have hired team members that are TikTok specific. So with the speed of social moving faster than ever before, it's just essential to invest and take that risk. And so, we've had Dash Hudson customers that, because of these new opportunities in social media, have gone from relative obscurity to public companies because of jumping on that. And a very famous retailer that we work with did just that by catching the Instagram wave. And so having those dedicated resources is key. Also, allowing for flexibility in creative production is incredibly important. If creative guardrails are too firm, it makes it really difficult to adjust to kind of the type of creative that is required by a specific platform. And I mean, by providing brands with data, we're able to reinforce what's working, which then allows them to kind of shift their strategy. I think the other really interesting thing about kind of the social entertainment medium are, Reels and TikTok are incredibly forgiving. You can take a risk. Maybe it doesn't hit a large audience. That's totally fine because of the way it's delivered to us. It's not in a kind of standard chronological feed, but you might hit on that one that does really well, and that will give you the confidence to do more of that. So I guess like the short answer to that is to take risks. Also, social shopping is a real thing. Mm-hmm. It's been spoken about for a number of years, but again, I truly believe that it's here. And Instagram and TikTok have made it so easy through the features that they've developed for brands to activate their consumers around shopping. And Dash Hudson customers are using our platform to make their creative seamlessly shoppable and measurable on Instagram and TikTok. And so it's all about ensuring efficiency and speed in the way that brands can associate their e-commerce initiatives with their creative initiatives on those platforms. And we just see, as things adapt, there's just such a need for innovation around that.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, what I'm hearing from you is you just got to do it, right? You just got to do it and try it. And it's low barrier to entry. You basically need your phone and then just start measuring and monitoring what's actually working.
Exactly. And I read this great article that spoke about entry into new social media formats. And essentially the way they described it was, when you've got something, you have to create a TikTok. It's a completely different form of creative than you would have created for the Instagram feed. Mm-hmm. So there's an effort and an energy that has to be put into it by a brand to get over that hurdle of creating something new. But the energy you put into getting over that hurdle is paid back to you by the platform because of that effort that you put in. So it was just a really nice way to visualize, energy in, energy back out.
Yeah. And you can already see like the benefits of you creating the kind of content that the platform wants you to create, right? I mean, on Instagram, it's possibly even easier to see than TikTok because the reels and any video content just gets so much more of a reach than static imagery most of the time. So it's like you say, it's like you're putting that effort in to create it. And then you've got to, but then, as you say, it's like the platform rewards you.
Exactly.
I just want to bring back to one point that you mentioned, because I think it's worth kind of teasing out a little bit. This idea that we're going from connection-based content to interest-based content, creative-based content. So in a way, it's reminding people that the content that you're creating, it's not just a format that's different. It's not just shifting from, say, static imagery to video, but it's actually, would you say that the type of content or the purpose of that content is changing? So you're no longer trying to encourage people, say, to follow you. You're trying to create the kind of content that catches somebody's eye, which means that your content will be shown to more people because the algorithm will recognize that it's something that people are interacting with. Does that make sense?
Exactly. And for many brands, what they're doing, of course, is partnering with creators, because it's the creators who are of the moment, understand the trends. They have those who've been successful on Reels or TikTok or YouTube Shorts, really understand what an audience is looking for. And through a close relationship with those creators, a brand can build something truly amazing from a creative perspective. And we have different modes of distribution, of course. The brand can share it through its own channel. The brand will, of course, have the creator share that on their channel. On TikTok, they have something called Spark Ads. So you can actually boost a creator's content that's been shared through their channel. And of course, a brand itself can run that creative as an ad. So we kind of, in our conversations with TikTok, we speak about like one creative to rule them all. Well, certainly the brand should be focused on generating their own creative in-house. It's really critical to partner with creators to ensure that what you're putting out there can be leveraged in the best way possible.
Well, I think that kind of brings us really neatly onto what I wanted to talk about next, which was a little bit about influencer marketing. I mean, do you see creator collaborations, is that the next step for influencer marketing then, or is it kind of one and the same? Is it a different type of strategy, or is it really all sit under the same umbrella?
It's a great question. I have a pretty clear point of view on this because it all tends to get lumped together, right? When we talk about influencers. So, I mean, influencer marketing is really, in my mind, changed significantly. And to me, there are really distinct pillars within that. So, first is the tried, tested, and true celebrity marketing. I mean, celebrities have been used in marketing since the dawn of the marketing age. We could go back to Mad Men, and I'm sure we'd see examples of that. And so we see so many brands today being built around celebrities in particular because of their ability to reach people through their massive social followings. I mean, time after time, we work with many celebrity-driven brands at Dash Hudson. So it's been really incredible to see those brands. Fenty Beauty with Rihanna is a great example. The Kardashian brands, like these are just incredible examples of fast-growing brands, some of the fastest growing brands in the world being built around celebrity. So it works and it'll forever be part of brand creation and promotion. Secondly is what I think of as traditional influencer marketing, which kind of started with the blogger, but then really took off whenever Instagram became a serious platform. So it was, and still is, very curated and lifestyle based, and it can be very focused on featuring products. I mean, we all kind of know about that traditional Instagram influencer. And I think the Instagram fashion influencer is a perfect example. They certainly were the elite influencers of kind of their time.
Yeah.
And so certainly this is still very effective for a certain audience, and it does continue to have an important role to play. But we're shifting into this kind of third pillar of influencer marketing, which is being called creator marketing. And so this is really where all of the attention and brand dollars are going now. So it starts with finding those unique creators, especially those operating through Reels, TikToks, and YouTube, and to really trusting them to do what they do best. And our data team, just from a kind of statistical standpoint, recently uncovered that within the creator space, lesser known, quote unquote, influencers are particularly effective. And this is especially true in retail, where these creators have an engagement rate that is up to 900%, which is a silly statistic, 900% higher than let's go 9 times higher than the industry's average. This further emphasizes the way in which video first platforms like TikTok are prioritizing the quality of content that creators produce over their follower size. And yes, so I said, like, creator marketing is uncomfortable for some brands. It does mean putting brand creation in the hands of others and relying on people to be the main source of your brand messaging. And it really only works if you provide your team and those partners the freedom for creativity.
So it's bringing them in, but not trying to squeeze them too much into a narrow brief. It's like letting them, as you say, do their thing.
Exactly.
Do you think, I mean, this is just something that I wonder about sometimes, because you talked about the benefit of organic. You talked about the kind of raw nature of the aesthetic, or especially over on TikTok, that you talk about the much higher engagement rates that you get with micro influencers. So is that almost an issue as businesses get bigger, that to kind of walk that line between making it polished and keeping it organic? And, who do you just work with more micro influencers rather than trying to work with people who are bigger as you scale? Like, how are you finding the brands that you work with who range, who have a variety, a range of different sizes? How do they kind of walk that line?
Yeah. So those brands that are the best at influencer marketing are employing all three of those pillars. So celebrity, traditional influencer, and creator.
Mm-hmm.
And then within that, I mean, celebrity is a separate thing, but within those other two pillars, they're working with a blend of large influencers and creators and micro. So in a lot of cases, brands need a couple things. One is they need that just massive reach from the very large influencer. It just gets them in front of more people in the most efficient way. But the micro influencer is what allows you to reach more niche audiences that may be harder to reach from that larger top-down perspective. And I don't like this word, but they are seen to be more authentic than what you might find with the, celebrity or large influencer. In reality, what it means is that they're seen as less commercial and they have a more kind of a tighter audience.
So it's a question of all three then combined. It's not really one or the other. It's using a mix.
Exactly. And of course, you have to be to the scale as a brand where you have the budgets to employ those strategies. As we've seen some of the younger direct-to-consumer companies take off, they really start with the micro because there's such efficiency in that. I mean, it takes a lot of work to manage all of those smaller influencers, but the outcomes from a pure ROI perspective are much stronger than they are necessarily at the large influencer creator level.
Got it. So then just to kind of finish up, I'd love to hear what you think, where you think this is all going. So if someone's listening, where are we heading? If someone's listening to this and they're thinking, okay, what do I need to be doing? What do I need to be keeping an eye on to sort of future-proof my business as much as that's ever possible? Well, like, where do you think that we're headed?
Yeah, thanks. I love these types of questions. So, I mean, I'll start with the future of social entertainment. We think of social media, I alluded to it earlier, but we think of social media as one thing and streaming media as another thing. But Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus, they all see the opportunity for our time in this evolving world. And they're in competition with one another for that most valuable resource, which is our time. And the streaming platforms are collectively spending $180 billion on content. And you know what it's like jumping from platform to platform to see your favorite show.
Yeah.
And while great content's always going to find an audience, TikTok, for example, has completely short-circuited that because the content is community generated and the best of it is delivered to you specifically instantly by the algorithm. So watch this space, right? In the future, it's like we're going to see the social media and streaming platforms be on a collision course, which I think is going to be really fascinating from a business perspective to watch. But in terms of brands and how they can future-proof, well, we believe fully that it's all about the creative, and 70% of a marketing campaign's performance is attributed to the creative. And what brands need is a holistic view of creative performance across channels. So be it organic social, advertising, e-commerce. Those teams that manage those things within a brand often work in silos. And what we see the best CMOs doing, they're really thinking big from a creative perspective, leveraging data to make decisions, and then deploying the best creative across the various modes of distribution. And so their job is to really ensure that their teams are working from a common understanding of creative. I would say the other thing is, don't buy into the viral hype. I think going viral is a terrible strategic objective. And at Dash Hudson, we actually have there's so much pressure on brands to go viral, right? Like the board of directors is asking, why haven't we gone viral on TikTok? Well, it's a bad strategic objective. And so internally, we analyzed tens of thousands of TikToks that were shared by top brands. And we focused on what we consider true engagements, which are completions of a video, the loops of that video, meaning you watched it again, that you engaged with the sound associated with that video, that you share that video with somebody else. And what we found is that true engagement, what we kind of refer to as a whole as the entertainment score, is disconnected from views once a TikTok reaches about 250,000 views. So past that point, you're kind of starting to saturate an audience that truly cares about that brand creative that you're sharing, that wants to engage, wants to learn more about your products. Beyond that point, the algorithm is pushing that TikTok out, but it's ending up in feeds and it's just not engaging people in the same way. So our advice to brands right now is focus on great creative, not the objective of virality. So we think in order to future-proof, just don't get distracted by this kind of notion of virality. And, finally, we work with so many amazing brands at Dash Hudson, and the marketers I'm friends and close colleagues with so many of them. I've built these relationships over the years. They're such smart, hardworking people, and they have a tremendous desire to innovate. And I just fully believe these teams need the resources and trust to leap into the future. And this is what I believe, helping to build Dash Hudson is let, great people do great work. It's your team that's really going to future-proof your business for you.
Love that. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Why not come over to Instagram at Resilient Retail Club and share what your takeaways were? What are you going to do differently, or how are you going to think differently about your content after listening to the show? If you want to find out more about Dash Hudson, then Thomas would love you to go and connect with him on LinkedIn. That's Thomas Rankin over on LinkedIn. And the links for Dash Hudson are going to be in the show notes as well. So why not go check them out? In the meantime, though, if you have a moment to rate and review the podcast, then that would mean the absolute world to me. I really love reading all your reviews and I appreciate every single one of them. And of course, if you subscribe or follow the podcast, you'll be the first to know about every new episode. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow, or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, the Resilient Retail Club is the place for you. With a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretailclub.com.